Well, the Rays' first series of 2024 is in the books, splitting it against the Toronto Blue Jays at the Trop. There was some good to go around, some bad to go around, and some interesting as well.
And all of that is going to be packaged into this episode, so let's get started right now.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we are the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays, and email us anytime with your mailbag questions, comments, concerns, etc., topic ideas, whatever it may be. LockedOnRays@gmail.com is the place to do that. All right. With it being the season underway, what we traditionally do on Mondays is give our takeaways from the action-packed weekend that was 3 games over the course of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Of course, we talked about Thursday's game on Friday's episode. But Ulises, let's get right into it. Your takeaways, observations, things that stood out to you over this past weekend.
Well, first, I'd like to think that the boys heard the pod. I just said, hey, just split the series. Yep. They ended up doing that. I know that there are some section of Rays fans who feel let down for that. I don't. I think it's a very long season.
Yeah, you cannot win every series when you lose the first game of a 4-gamer against a quality opponent, even at home. That's probably what it's going to wind up being. And let's consider this.
Yeah.
As our buddy Evan Klosky texted us recently, maybe the goal, let's be realistic, hover around 500 until May, until the reinforcement and cavalry returns. So the fact that they're 2-2 right now, look, people are always going to freak out and overreact. I mean, you might as well call the season over after what happened on opening day. But they're going to win some series. They're going to lose some series. At the end of the day, I think they're going to find a way to squeeze out 88 to 92 wins, something along that threshold.
I know it's nice to win the division, but really, since they expanded playoffs, what is the positive thing about winning division? They've essentially, and by they I mean MLB, they have the powers of MLB. They have taken away the luxury of what you get when you're a division winner. It doesn't matter anymore. It gives you no pluses whatsoever. It's just a nice banner, but apparently we're hanging banners at the Trop for anything and everything. So it really doesn't really matter for Rays fans, really.
Right.
It's just to get into the dance. So you got to get into the playoffs. They should be able to do that. I've said they should be hovering around 88 to 94 wins this season. But yeah, again, I am okay with the splitting of the result this weekend. Mm-hmm. What I was not okay with was a grown man being so damn soft that he has to push another player twice for doing his job.
Yeah.
Bunting and getting a run in, that is as normal as a single up the middle. It's 4-1. It's not 10-1. So I know the unwritten rule crowd would say, hey, 10-1, come on, you're going to bunt with a guy on, like that's how you're going to get that run across. That's kind of cheap, man. And okay, I don't care, but I can at least see the sliver of where they're coming from. 4-1. That's a close game. I'm sorry, I don't care. That game can be easily flipped with a bloop, an error, a blast, boom. Mm-hmm. There you are. So Cabrera just putting his hands on Caballero twice. I took offense to that, and I'm glad that MLB did something by suspending him 3 days and with an undisclosed fine. But it's just, to me, I mean, I haven't gotten some actual time to maybe like try to read their lips and see what they said to
Right.
each other. Caballero didn't. Apparently, there's no bad blood before.
There's no previous history. It would make I don't know if they've ever faced each other before, what the circumstances are behind that, because I looked up Génesis Cabrera's history and he didn't play in the AL West. Maybe there was a interleague series between the Cardinals and the Mariners. I mean, we do know that Caballero does have a history of getting under the skin of opposing pitchers based on what he does in the batter's box. So maybe there's something there, but I think maybe just early season frustrations and things not going Cabrera's way that made him act upon that way. And I'll tell you what, I was at the stadium, and that was the most energetic moment of that ball game because everybody stood up after that shove happened, which, like, watching it on television doesn't do it justice how quick that shove and like how athletic of a movement that was. Like, don't mess with a pro athlete. Like that's one thing, just how things can escalate so quickly like that. And then when the bench is clear, like everybody was standing up and watching and wanting to see what happened. And when you look at the replay, it's like, wow. Because at first glance, I mean, you're not really expecting something like that to happen, and then you think it's just a shove in the chest or shoulders. But no, Cabrera got right up in Caballero's face and like almost got him around the neck and the jawline and pushed him that way. So Caballero, good for him showing some restraint there. Because there's a lot of players that may not have been able to do that. So
no, and look, I think obviously there's a height disparity there between Cabrera and Caballero, but that doesn't matter when you're in the heat of the moment. You just go for it, and he didn't. So for those that have seen Caballero's antics before, they're like, oh, I don't know if I want that kind of guy in my team. Like, I love it. And he then just showed he's not just a firecracker. He's not just going to always just be on. He's going to, that moment just cemented of like, oh no, he can think in the heat of the moment, which is a very good quality to have, especially in that type of environment. So good for Caballero to not go after Cabrera, but yeah, I don't understand unless something was said, which doesn't really make sense, folks, because it was Cabrera going to Caballero first. By him running about the bases, like he's not actively talking to Cabrera. Like he went up to him, to Caballero.
Yeah, I would have to check the replay again, but I think, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but Caballero overruns the bag. Cabrera's right there, bumps into him, or it gets they engage, and then Caballero says something, and then that's when Cabrera pushes him. It was, I guess,
the first bump. Like Cabrera went up to Caballero to kind of like, I don't know, impede is not the right word.
Yeah, he kind of did impede in a way, or just kind of say, "Hey, I'm here."
And that's when I think Caballero was like, "Yo, why are you?
Yeah, why are you standing here?
Why are you getting on my face like this? Like you didn't have to do this." I don't know. It's odd. I haven't had time to try to maybe read their lips out to see if there was something, a word or two that I could be like, oh, okay, that's maybe what got him upset. But from what they said in an interview, nothing horribly, and there's no history behind it. So I just found it so soft, like Cabrera, just so soft. Like, bro, really, you're gonna get that mad because somebody bunted a run across and your team made the error? Like that's I don't know. Just very soft.
And frankly, if you're a team facing the Rays, expect a lot of that this year. At least early on in the season, as Josh Lowe and some of the other guys. I mean, Wander Franco is just not going to be in perpetuity, it looks like. But hit and run, manufacture runs, move the runner over. There's going to be a lot of that activity, I think. So get used to it. But I guess the Rays have a new AL East rival, or you can add them to the list. They've had some bad blood between the Red Sox, the Yankees, and now the Blue Jays. And of course, we can go back to Kevin Kiermaier, Cardgate, and all that as well over the years. So there's been some quirky things that have happened between the Blue Jays and Rays over time.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we have more to discuss, but first we have to tell you this. The sports calendar is loaded, and FanDuel is making it even more exciting to get in on all of the action, because right now new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet the tourney, MLB, NBA, NHL, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a big win. Again, I'll repeat it. FanDuel.com/lockedon, LOCKEDON is the place to go. FanDuel, they are America's #1 sportsbook.
And we got to tell you about LinkedIn. Perhaps you're struggling to close deals. Well, that's where the LinkedIn Sales Navigator comes in. It is a sales intelligence platform that helps professionals effectively prospect and engage high-value customers, drive higher revenue, and increase sales performance. It helps you target the right buyers, surface key signals such as job changes or which accounts you should prioritize, and shows you hidden allies so that you can find those buyers that are most likely to convert. So right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/lockedon. That is linkedin.com/lockedon for a free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today, like a Yandy Diaz, okay? Like a Junior Caminero, who we will be talking about a little bit later on a somber note. So again, go to linkedin.com/lockedon and get that free trial started for you today.
Or like a Randy Arozarena, showcasing 2 opposite field home runs on fastballs over the course of the weekend series. Let's just hope that he doesn't have a July slumperoo and doesn't run out of steam by season's end, but he certainly bulked up. It's not easy to do for sure. So maybe this is his career year. Maybe we're not seeing steady Eddie Randy of 250, 260 batting average and 20 to 23 home runs. Maybe we see 275 Randy and 29 to 34 home runs.
And like 33 stolen bases. Like this is his 30-30 season. Like, you know what?
If it's going to be his swan song with the Rays, might as well go out with a bang to get all the trade value that you absolutely can garner. Hey, Stu is already complaining about the payroll. It's April 1st, or I guess the articles came out March 31st. So that's going to be a lot more money coming to Randy next year.
And
Just
let's
saying.
be honest. Look, we've been talking about Randy Arozarena's impending free agency since basically he made his debut, since 2020.
Yeah.
And this is now the year where we all have to look at each other as a Rays fandom and say to each other, hey, you know what? This is Randy's last year. I find it very difficult to believe that they're going to keep Randy. And if Randy, obviously he's getting way expensive, but also the type of player that he is doesn't really grow old in a nice way, in a smooth way. So with his speed and the dynamicness of his play, like it just doesn't grow old in a very nice fashion. So what we all have to root for, unfortunately, is a career year, a year that he becomes a guy that everybody wants him on his team, which I think a lot of teams already would.
Right.
But just in an even more way so that we can capitalize that with a good trade, with almost like a even better Pepio, even better DeLuca combination of players that can get you there, because he's still under control for I believe 2 more years. So
and of course he's a Scott Boras client, and that brings up issues. And I think the Rays, again, that's all we're talking about now is his payroll. It's up above $90 million. We got dead money that we're dealing with. We're still paying Manny Margot. We're still paying Wander Franco. We got a bunch of injured players that we're paying, and then we got to sign guys and pay them. Maton, middle reliever, he's the 5th highest paid player on the team at $6 million. So things are going to have to change according to the words of the powers that be. But besides Randy having a show and also making a great play at the wall in left field the other day, I think that's kind of one of my takeaways is just there were some really dynamic defensive plays from the group between what Randy did there. Curtis Mead making a really couple solid plays, one on a kneel down backhand and then throwing to first and then making a catch in no man's land between I guess it was Rosario and Yandy Diaz. Just he had to track a long way to make that play. Rosario giving up his body to make a sliding catch down in the Rays bullpen. There was just a lot of things out there to like. But I think overall, one thing I wanted to point out on a positive end of things is outside of some of the pitching performances, i.e. Tyler Alexander, I was really impressed and liked what I saw from the new faces with the Rays, from Palacios to Rosario to Caballero to Rortvedt. Hey, I hope this is an ongoing theme for Ben Rortvedt because I like what I saw in the first little bit of action from him. I mean, he had a couple base hits up the middle. He drew a walk, and then defensively, he's, I guess, Aaron Savali's best friend because he'll frame anything and everything. It can be,
holy crap,
6-7 inches outside, and he's got strong enough hands and wrist and forearms to hoodwink the umpire and steal a strike or two. And then also a major league pop up. Again, not easy with the new confines of the Trop and being able to handle that with aplomb. And that was the other thing. Like a lot of these guys, they don't have tons of experience in Tropicana Field, but and even if they misread a ball or they had trouble tracking it, they were still able to recover and make a play. Like Rosario was able to do that in right field. Like new positions, new home, new ballpark, and you're still making yourself valuable. So I think that was something to appreciate.
And Rortvedt, I think he also hit the ball pretty hard center field, I think.
Yeah, he had 2 base hits up the middle.
No, but like a fly ball, like a deep fly ball.
Oh, fly ball went deep. Okay, yeah. So I mean, he's got the strength. I mean, people want him and Yandy to have an arm wrestling contest. So he's got the guns. He's like a Mighty Mouse. He's a short dude, but packs a punch.
I think that arm wrestling contest would be great for charity. So giving you that idea already, Ray's marketing team. But I agree with you. A lot of positives from Rosario, from Palacios. I mean, that catch he made on Friday evening's game towards the foul line, that was fantastic to see. I mean, the wherewithal, the spatial awareness, and also the athleticism. And once he catches it, he throws it back into the infield rather quick because there's somebody on base. Like it's just, it's really nice to see that type of play so early in the season. Like the guys are in it, and they're new faces at a new stadium, like you said, and it's not easy to play at the Trop. We see it all. Rays fandom knows it's not easy to play at the Trop because we usually see one or two, dudes kind of missing some baseballs that were like, oh, we never see that from our team, So we are used to seeing those errors. So when we have new guys come in and just assimilate what it is to be at the Trop, like it's nothing, it's just makes you smile. So that's a really nice.
And it's not like they had the luxury of last season where they spent an entire spring training at the Trop so you could get used to the confines and the catwalk and the lighting and the ceiling. Like that is something that anytime I watch a baseball game or I talk to somebody, that's what they mention is how do guys track the ball and see it with the way that this warehouse is built, essentially. So kudos on them. Hopefully they're able to keep it up. I guess that's something that the Rays are looking at. They're looking at signing or acquiring veteran players. Not saying Rosario's a veteran, but Rosario-esque guys because they went out and acquired Dom Smith. I mean, maybe this is the year where it's like we got so many new faces, we've got so many young guys. Let's get a couple Eric Hinskys and Cliff Floyds around the roster to help mold and develop them going forward. And also injuries too, not helping matters either, which we'll get to in just a second as well. So just want to throw this out there. I mentioned it early on, 6 stolen bases in 4 games. We want to go for that stolen base record. This
That'd
is
be
the
great.
time to do it. Manufacture those runs, bunts, hit and runs, sack flies. Siri already has 3. We still need some other guys with speed to get some as well. So,
Yeah.
all right. We have more to discuss, but first we have to tell you this. Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. That includes sports. And Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant flurry of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us here at Locked On in most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV lets you dive into all of the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date on all the latest in the world of sports. March Madness, NBA, MLB, and everything in between. Not to mention, you can find great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos, and all that as well. So go ahead, do it right now. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. We know you all love those. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you absolutely should. Trust us on this. So to learn more, visit amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. I'll spell it out for you. Amazon.com/LOCKEDONFIRETV. Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. There we go. All right.
Before we get to it, can I have a moment here to? I'm not. I
Are you
was
ready
right.
to crap on Tyler Alexander? Is that what you're getting ready to do?
I was right. I said
Yeah.
it. I said it twice differently. Cash, why are you not listening to the pod? What, Eric, where are you? Why aren't you listening to the pod? I put it out there. It didn't make sense to put Tyler Alexander in a situation where he's going to be facing that type of lineup. It didn't make sense. And guess what happened? It made a lot of sense for the Jays to see anything that Tyler Alexander was providing on Sunday. I just look, I know they've got 1,000 more data points than what we have here publicly. They like something, they see something, they know about it. Okay. But
sometimes you can have paralysis by overanalysis.
Thank you.
AISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Exactly. Like sometimes like you don't have to dive in so much. Like, look, dude, like these are the numbers. Like it just doesn't make sense. So I would love to know why. Now I'm trying to think, okay, look, they're a smart front office. Why would they do something that seems so not smart in the most polite way? I think I've cracked a theory here, and it's Ryan Pepio might be that guy they want to keep hitting for as long as they can from teams that are going to be seeing them multiple times, plus a guy that they might use in the playoffs. And who can they see in the playoffs? They might see a Blue Jays team that could get a wild card berth as well as with the Rays. So that's the kind of theory that I'm leaning towards, that they're trying to minimize the exposure of Ryan Pepio to a team that not only is in division, so that means they're going to see him like 12, 13 times.
Yeah.
But a possible matchup in the playoffs where one less time that they have seen him would be better. So that's where I'm leaning towards. But I don't know if I'm stretching. I don't know if I'm reaching with that.
He's the race in the hole, maybe. That could be what it is. I also brought up the theory that maybe giving him something to work towards and maybe not putting so much pressure on him in the early going. Let's not make you the number 4. Let's make you the number 5 and really work through it and work towards it. But yeah, it was a head scratcher with the decision with Tyler Alexander, although it is nice to have some lefty somewhere. It's just finding the right spot for that.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, how long do they keep, not to overreact, but how long do they keep Tyler Alexander in the rotation? Is it just until Jake Odorizzi warms up with a couple more minor league appearances? Or is he until May, June?
If he
I
does
think his
2
best
more,
role for him is being the Jalen Beeks role, not
yeah,
being a starter.
yeah, that's
I know he's
probably,
thrown behind an opener and all that, but I don't necessarily see him as starter material. But these are the cards we're dealt with the injuries that the Rays are going through right now. It's a shame that Iwasawa couldn't get himself together to that point, that Odorizzi was signed in mid-March, and other guys are going down like flies as well.
and you said it, there's no lefty. So he's the lefty. So, he gets the upper hand over a Wagaspack or, Odorizzi if he was on Hurts. You said, how many more times do we see Tyler Alexander? Not to overreact, but if he has 2 more outings like he just had, you can't put him there a 4th time. Like that was it. Like that's it. Like you move him to the bullpen and then give somebody else a try. It sucks to not have a lefty, but I mean, you're not just going to have a lefty up there that's going to give up 5 runs every 5 innings, like that's not sustainable.
Right. Yeah, and the thing about him is like his profile is you cannot afford to miss. Like you have to be perfect with your execution and your command in your location, because if you miss a little bit middle, guys are going to pounce on that. Exactly. 89, 90, 91 fastball, lefty to a righty. It's adult softball season at that point. So it happens. We'll see how they address it and get back through it. So that was one thing. The other thing that we learned, our golden goose, our pride and joy, the guy that seemingly everybody is talking about, Junior Caminero, is down for the count. He sustained a left quad injury where he's dealing with discomfort, non-contact related issue. Basically, he hurt his quad running to first base in Sunday's game.
Yeah, man. Saw that video and I was like, oh, this is not a great way to end your Sunday. I didn't need these news. Let's hope it's something minor, but did you see him walking away from the play into the dugout? It didn't look great to be held.
So you're saying it may not be a grade 1 strain, it could be a grade 2 strain.
I ain't no doctor. I literally chose not to spend 10 years plus in academia.
Yeah.
So I cannot say that, but it didn't look good from these eyes. It didn't look good. Hopefully my eyes are wrong and he's just spiffy. But if he's not, that's a reinforcement that you were hoping to get. Hopefully,
right.
If you're a rational but optimistic Rays fan, you were thinking, okay, mid-May. Can we see him mid-May, maybe late May? Like that could be something. That's no longer going to be the case if he has to miss 4-6 weeks. Just putting it out there, like I don't know how long.
I think that's with a mild version of an issue like that is 4 to 6 weeks, something like that, and then if it's more severe, then it could be a couple months.
Yeah, and this franchise, man, is just not having any sort of luck with injuries. And I know there's a section of Rays fans and baseball fans who always just like point at the training staff, like, look, what are they doing? What are they doing? It's like, dude, you can't do this in this case. Like the guy's in AAA.
Yeah. There's nothing. It's a quadriceps injury. I mean, these are fairly common. They happen. So
that's what happens when you are static and then you have to go, which is literally almost all of baseball. You have to, from static to go to
a very violent movement immediately.
It's not great. It's not
like you get a 5-minute warm up to go to first base.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I guess if we're looking at this from a positive lens, that this gives more of a track and leeway for Austin Shinton to show himself, Jonathan Aranda, Curtis Mead, Paredes sticking around a little bit longer, I guess, if Caminero is still dealing with this. But this was a guy, I think that, with all the other injuries, some of that was masked by the fact that you had Caminero in AAA of like, when's the day that he's going to get a call and start hitting 35 bombs a year for us.
And yeah, so that's probably not happening this year
Yeah.
with this, if this were an extended stay on the IL. But you said a name, and I know that we're running long, so it's not going to be a big thing. But Austin Shenton faced, the Rays faced how many righties during this 4-game series? I lost count. Where the heck was Austin Shenton?
I mean, as far overall or just starters?
Yeah, just overall. I lost count.
I think a lot, yeah.
Austin Shenton gets 1 AB this whole time. Like, I'm not saying the guy needs to start the whole time, but like maybe one start could have been possible. Like, he was the opposite of Tyler Alexander. Like, get him in, coach.
Yeah.
I know he's a 26 man and everything, but like, you still kind of want to see what he's got, right? Like, Vidal Brujan used to get starts as well here and there. I don't know. That kind of.
Okay, how about this? A quick over-under. Over-under 30 at-bats for Shenton this season in a Rays uniform.
Let's put plate appearances first, because at-bats, yeah.
Over-under 30 plate appearances.
I mean, at this pace, seems like under would be the way to go.
I would also say under, and I think he'll probably get traded at some point when some of the other crew get healthy and back in action, because you just won't have a spot for him. Although I assume he has options, so I guess you could.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of movement for sure. So we'll leave it at that. But yeah, let's give him a shot. Let's see what he can do. Give him an opportunity.
Come on. But you're right. This does give a lot more leeway to see what Aranda has, Meade has. Now these two guys are like, okay, the Golden Goose is not going to take your spot just yet. Right. So go nuts. What do you have?
Exactly. Go nuts. And Rosario, you're not going to be, traded to New York or something.
Right.
Probably in July or whatever. So, all right. In the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.